What's up? If you're watching this video for the first time, my name is Steven Story, and I'm going to be telling y'all about the pros and cons of being an expat. I've been living outside the United States for the last 6 years, so stay tuned and watch what I got to say. All right, guys, so my name is Steven Story. I've been living outside the United States since May 2018, so here we are in March 2024. So we're looking at almost 6 years of me not living in the United States full time. I have gone back to the States a few times. I went back to the States in the pandemic for 6 months. I went back again in 2021 for 6 months just for work and business and see my family and stuff like that. But what I want to go over today is the mindset of being a expat or a digital nomad. I'm not a digital nomad. I'm an expat, so that means I'm a person who has left the United States. I'm more of a you can use immigrant as well. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 35 now, so I left the States when I was 29. I was in the insurance industry. I'm still in the insurance industry now, but the main thing I did that allowed me to be able to live and work outside the United States was that I had a career that did not make me work in office every day, right? And so, and also I was able to earn a high income, and so by doing that, I was able to pay off all my debts pretty quickly, and then from there I was able to save money and move. I first moved to Canada. I first moved to Canada. I lived in Canada for 6 months, and then came back home for 2 months, and I moved to Brazil, and that's where I am now. That's where I've been, like I said, since January 2019. It is a different life, I would say, and that's why I want to get into the mindset of being an expat. I think a lot of people are not built to be an expat. They're not built to be a nomad. I think 99% of humans need to be in a familiar environment. I think people can move, but I think most people need to be around family and friends because one of the things about being a nomad or being an expat, especially for as long as I've done it, is you have to get used to being alone. You got to get used to your own thoughts. You got to get used to figuring things out without using other people that you normally lean on, a best friend or spouse or partner, or normally knowing your surroundings, right? It took me a long time to build relationships here in El Salvador. It took me a long time to build out just my bearings of the city, where everything is in the city, where the doctor is, where the chiropractors are, where the dentists are, handyman, where all the parties are, where is the restaurants I like, where's the barbers I like, where's the gyms that I like to go to. And these are things that are outside of culture and language. These are just general things that we do in our day to day. It took time. It took a lot of time for me to, in trial and error as well, right? It took a lot of trial and error to get those the building blocks of a life put together for myself. When we're living at home, wherever that home might be for you, when we're living at home, we're used to that place. We know those places intrinsically, but when you're being a nomad, it changes everything. And so it can put you in a situation where you want to close up. You want to close up, you want to control what you can control, you want to stay home a lot. But where the mindset of a digital nomad or the mindset of an expat comes in at, even though it's uncomfortable, you have to embrace the discomfort because that's where you're going to learn that, right? And so, again, I haven't talked about culture or language yet. We're just talking about just literally getting your surroundings, your bearings for yourself. And, I really pushed myself because I was closed off. My first 2 weeks in Brazil, even when I was in Canada, I was like, I want to control what I can control. And, you spend a lot of time in your apartment. He's like, yo, this ain't going to work. I need to move around. I got to get to know some people. I got to get connected. And so the first thing I would say, to wrap that part of it up, is the first part of being outside the United States or Europe, where you're watching this from, is your mindset. And your mindset of being open, being open to discomfort, being open to failure, being open to making mistakes, right? I made a lot of mistakes, y'all. A lot of mistakes. I've overpaid for things, underpaid for other things. I offended people when I didn't understand something properly. I said something the wrong way, and what I learned was that it made me feel young again. I felt like I was like in high school or something. I felt like I was in high school all over again because I started learning. I was learning, and I still am. I'm learning so much every single day about city, culture, myself. Well, by city, I mean this city, the culture of this city, the language, the slang of this city, different parts of the city, learning more about humanity in general. right? And so I did it by making a whole lot of mistakes, right? You got to give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, all right? I think especially, I'm going to speak to Americans, especially for Americans, because for Americans, we think that we're supposed to get it right the first time. We're not used to failure, especially in our day-to-day life. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time now. So, and I was an athlete before that, I was a college athlete. So I was used to failing up, right? Fail up, right? And so if you're not used to failing up, it'll be a new experience for you in this journey of living outside the United States. So again, mindset, let's kind of take that. So he talked about making mistakes, being open to making errors, being open to offend and be offended, right? You can't take things so personal. Okay, when you're getting out of your home culture, your home country, your home city, and your network of friends, everything's gonna be, like I said before, it's gonna be uncomfortable. But also, you're gonna just, like for example, sarcasm doesn't translate well in Portuguese. Sarcasm doesn't translate well from English to Portuguese, and also people get offended about different things. So what would not offend an American in the United States would offend some of those jokes we have. Sarcasm can be a bit offensive for a Brazilian. I'm not saying all, I'm speaking in generalities, right? And you might not want to go to Brazil. You might want to go to a Spanish-speaking country, or any of these countries you want to go to. Their culture is different, and so the jokes that we say, the things we do, the way we are may not translate, and so you got to be okay with that. And you also got to be okay with changing, because you're in their country, you're in their city, you're in their culture. You're the one that has to change, not the other way around. I've seen this, for example, one thing that I see a lot of, Americans are used to the Burger King way of life. You can have it your way, right? The customer's always right, that whole thought process. They don't subscribe to that mentality everywhere. So I've seen Americans, they go to restaurants, like, hey, they'll order some food, and they'll say, hey, can you put this on the side? Or can you add this? Or can you take this out? And they're like, what? No, we don't serve it like that. Well, no, you can just do it like this, it's easy. No, we don't do it like that, right? And so I see a lot of Americans struggle, and they get frustrated by something as simple as thinking that everybody does things the way they do in the United States. Another thing I see is, and this is just cultural things. It's just a cultural thing, right? But I see Americans, lack patience, right? Everywhere doesn't have the same infrastructure or focus on convenience that we do in the United States. And so things that for us should take, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, for them it's going to take, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And it's just because that's just what it is, But I've seen Americans lose their temper. I've seen Americans, just really get really antsy, leave places instead of being patient. So those are things you got to deal with. These are things you got to deal with. You get out here on the road, you start moving around, stamping your passport up. You got to learn to be flexible. That's the next thing. You got to be flexible mentally. And also, I would say, one thing I've noticed over the years of my time, being outside the States is you got to be flexible with other personalities. All right. So in the United States, you got all your friends, your frat brothers, your sorority sisters. You got, your best friends, all your coworkers, and all that. So you have all these people to choose from that you can hang out with on a day-to-day basis. Well, when you're on the road, that's not the case, especially if you're not in an English-speaking country. And so you put yourself in a situation where you're hanging with people you normally wouldn't necessarily hang out with in the United States. But it's like, well, if I don't hang out with you, I'm not going to hang out with anybody. If I don't hang out with you, I can't express myself. Like, I don't hang out with you, I can't fully give my opinion about something, right? Especially for my new language learners, right? If you're a new language learner, you're going to spend a lot of time being quiet, a lot of time nodding along and smiling or being confused. And so it's a welcomed treat to have an American every once in a while that you can talk to, or not American, but just an English speaker in general, if English is your first language, right? Because I don't know who I was watching this video. So it's I would say that you have to tread a little lighter, and you have to value relationships a bit more, especially within the expat community. Let me charge my computer because it's about to die. Yeah, you have to. There we go. You have to value people in ways that you wouldn't necessarily have done had you been in the United States, or been around your comfort zone, right? All right. So mindset. We talked about being flexible mentally and being flexible with other people. We also talked about mindset. All right. I don't know how long I'll make this video. We're already 10 minutes into this video, but y'all got questions also about any of this stuff, y'all can always ask me. I'm trying to talk more about my life. I have a really cool life, in my opinion. I've really had been blessed to enjoy a lot of things over these last few years, and I've been blessed to experience a level of freedom that I've been able to experience for the last 6 years. And a lot of people want to do these things, they don't know how to do it. And if you want to know more about how I did it, like how I got started, how did I choose the cities I chose, how I choose the place I lived at, all that, just let me know in the comment section, and I'll tell you more about this stuff. But I'm gonna go into some of the pros now. Some of the pros of being a digital nomad, and again, it's not about where I am physically in Brazil, it's just about in general. I find that being a expat, now I'm not gonna say digital nomad because I didn't move around a whole lot. The thing about being an expat, I think the pros are you're learning. You're always learning about yourself. You're learning about your place in the world. You're learning, hopefully another language. You're learning another city, another culture. You're learning another way of life. You're learning a new perspective. You're learning a new way of being, right? For those of y'all who learn another language, you also learn another personality. So just so y'all know, for every language you pick up, you pick up another personality. I'm much more relaxed in Portuguese. I'm much more easygoing in Portuguese. I'm not necessarily that way in English, but it's because English, I learned vocabulary for everything. In Portuguese, I didn't learn vocabulary for business. I didn't learn vocabulary for academics. I didn't learn vocabulary around politics and arguing and debating and all that stuff. I never learned that. So I'm a different guy in Portuguese. So the people who know me here, they know me as a different person than I actually am in English. And so that's a fun thing, right? That's a really fun thing to do. And I think that learning enriches us, right? So education can be more than one thing. It's not just reading books. Learning is also learning about who you are. Because my dad has a saying, and it's wherever you go, there you are. And so whatever you struggle with in the United States or wherever home is, you're going to struggle with out here. If you're struggling with love out wherever you are, you're going to struggle with love here. If you struggle with your place in the world or your own confidence, you're going to struggle with that wherever you are, right? Because humans are the same everywhere. It's still the same, that's what I'm looking for. It's the same mixture of people. It's good people, it's bad people, it's smart people, it's dumb people, it's outgoing people, it's shy people. People are people everywhere. They just speak different language, eat different food, and they live in different geography. That's it. That's all it is, right? So that's the pros. I got more pros. I can do this all day. But the cons, here's the cons. I miss my family. I always miss my family. I try to talk to them every day on FaceTime. It's not enough. Okay, so if you're a person that's super attached to your family, it's going to be a little hard. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be a little hard. You might want to give them a visit. You might want to live close to your family, right? I would say, missing family is a big part for me. Also, I would say that one of the cons of being a nomad or an expat is people don't know you. It could be a pro for some of y'all. It could be a con. Just depends on who you are. But yeah, it's like nobody knows you, so you don't have all these societal achievements, right? So like, because I speak English and the way I speak English, most of you all who are listening know that I'm intelligent. You know that you probably hear my accent. You probably know what part of the world I'm from, what part of the country I'm from, and you also probably know that I'm college educated. But when I switch to Portuguese, it's kind of hard to do that because I've learned their accent and their language, and I don't speak like an academic. So I don't speak like a person that's college educated in Brazil. So now my education is in doubt. So they're like, oh. My home pods have popped up. Let's get this pause. There we go. There we go. Oops. Yeah. So So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so that con is nobody knows you. Nobody knows you, and so you really have to take your time and build out relationships. You must do it, and you can't just be in the expat community because the longer you live here, the more you need to depend on people who live in that country or live in that city. All right, so that's another con. I would say another con is like the bureaucracy. You know, opening up bank accounts, cable in your name, you know, leases, cell phones, and all that stuff in another country. It can be a headache, to be honest with y'all. It can be a real headache. You know, dealing with immigration and visas and all that. It's just another complication of your life. If you're not ready for that, stay at home. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not ready for it, it's okay. But if you feel like you can figure it out, you know, you're ready to have some adventure, come out and come out, do it. You know, it's never a perfect time to do it, but if you plan properly, you can achieve these things. You know, like I said, if that's what you want. Everybody got to be a nomad. Everybody got to be an expat. This is not a come be an expat account. I'm just giving you my perspective on things. You know, I got a million stories, by the way. I've had so many stories, so many experiences over the years in Canada, in Brazil, living in those two countries, you know, opening bank accounts in those two countries, opening credit cards in those two countries, and you know, all the things that go into living in somewhere. But I would say, to kind of wrap this video up, because I made this video because I want to start sharing more of myself with people. And I just also know that so few people are talking about leaving the United States in an intelligent way, right? I don't want to tell you about leaving the United States for love, you know, for dating, anything like that. I don't want to tell you about leaving the United States because of political reasons. I don't want to tell you about leaving the United States for money or anything like that, right? I know I have the reasons I left, but I don't want to entice you with those types of things. I just want to give it to you. It's how it is, all right? It's my life. I've been living here, and I plan on living here for a little while longer. I plan on living outside the United States for the foreseeable future. It's been fun. I will go home. I still do go home. I'll go home probably in a month and a half. Go home and see my family. I'm not some heartless guy. Like, I have people that love me, you know, so I got to see my friends. I got to see my family. So I'll go home and see them. And, you know, as I wrap this up, you know, one of the reasons I see, a reason why you should not leave the United States. Do not leave the United States because you hate it, okay? It's only going to tint everything you do after that, all right? I love the United States. I love being from where I'm from Alabama. I love it. I love Alabama. I love my family. I enjoy all that. But the reason I left is because I wanted to have adventure. I wanted to experience something new. I wanted a new part of my life. I wanted a new perspective. I wanted to learn. And so I love that more than my comfort level that I had in the United States, you know? And I think that my challenge to anybody who's watching this video is like, hey, look, if anything I said resonate with you, anything that you say I said resonates with you, you know, hit me up. We can talk about it, or we can talk about it in the comment section. But if it resonates with you, start making a plan. You know, make a plan and execute it. Catch a flight, make it one way. Make sure your visa stuff is in order. Make sure your bills ain't too high back at home, and go for it. You know, I had a very short plan. I wrote my whole plan on one sheet of paper, and I didn't even use half the paper. All right, and that was my plan to be an expat. It was super short. I had a plan to make money. I had a plan to live, and then from there I was going to test the hypothesis. I just used the scientific method. That's all I did. I didn't make it any more complex than it had to be. I didn't overthink it. I just bought my flight, booked my Airbnb. You know, I just knew that I would figure it out, right? And so you got to have that same thought process. I'll figure it out. So with that being said, good luck. Good luck on this journey to being an expat, being a digital nomad, or even just traveling for a little while. You know, you can do it. There's a lot of other people who've done it before you. And the question is not how you're going to do it, it's who has done it. And so who can you learn from? So I hope I can be another person over here on YouTube that can help you with that. And I'll talk to y'all soon.